Hello and welcome. My name is Seshu and I'm part of DVCom support and training team. In this video, I'm going to show it to you how to change the general settings of A-Star P series PABX. So in my previous video, I have shown to you how to set up the initial setup of your A-Star PABX, and in this video, I'm going to show it to you how to do the general settings. Let's go and have a look. So as you know that in my previous video I have set up the default username as administrator, and the password. Let's go and log in. So when you log in at first time, guys, it's always important to know you are going to see the nice dashboard. So this dashboard you can able to see what are the active calls, and what is the CPU utilization, what is the memory usage, and you can see all the information. So you can see here the active calls. So at any point of time, your PABX is going to process how many calls? Maximum 25 concurrent calls. And also you can see here there is a total 5 registered extensions are there by default, but I didn't do any configurations. But how it come? So this is what you need to understand, guys. So by default 5 extensions already configured, and those extensions are going to start with 1000, 1001, 1002, like that. These are the default settings, guys. In case if you want to change these settings, you can change according to your requirement. And also, is there any SIP trunks are available or not, or in case if anyone has connected with the Linkus is your soft client. So I'm going to make it for you one separate video for that. So in case if anybody log in with the Linkus, you can able to see that information, and you can see the status of your LAN interface, WAN interface, USB and FXO port. All this information you can see it. And also if you enable schedule backup, it's on or off, and any IP addresses are blocked, and you can able to see this information. So most of the information you can see it from the dashboard, and you can see here those extensions. Go to the extensions and trunk and click on the extension, and you can see these extensions are already by default configured. So by default it's there, all these 5 extensions from 1000 to 1004. So in case if you want to use it, you can use it, or in case if you want to delete these extensions, you can delete it. It's up to you, guys. So for example, if I want to delete this, let's select all these extensions and click on delete. Now say OK. Now it has deleted. The moment when you delete, you can see here there is a apply button. It's always remember, guys, whenever you do any changes in your PABX, always click on apply. Then only those settings will get saved. Now if you go and click on add, and you can see here something surprise, again it start with 1000. That's the surprise here. See here. But how it's going to start with 1000 again? There is something surprise here. Why? You can see here the default settings. So to see the default settings, you need to go to the PBX settings and click on the preferences, and you can see in the preference section, just go down. These are the extension preferences, guys. It's very important that you need to know about it. So the user extensions by default it's starting with 1000. So if you try to delete multiple times, and if you click on add, and by default it's going to start with 1000. And in case if you enable the group voicemail, by default it starts with 6100. In case if you configure the ring group, 6300. Conference, it's going to use 6500. Account trunk, 6700. Parking extension, 6000. IVR, 6200. Queue, 6400. Paging, 6600. WebRTC, 6800. Exactly what is this? It's getting confused, man. What is this exactly? There is no confuse for it. It's very straightforward, guys. In case if you configured ring group, because ring group is nothing but, let's say that in my office couple of sales people are there, those extensions are, let's say 1000, 1001, 1002, 1003, and I have created one ring group called sales. The moment when you create a ring group, by default it's going to give the number called 6300. So your PABX is going to identify the ring group with this number, that is 6300. As a humans, when you are going to configure, you just keep it as a name, sales, but your PABX is going to identify with 6300. Then after that you are going to add all these extensions. That's it. In case if you create one more ring group which is for finance, it say that it's a 6301. If you create one more ring group for HR, then it's a 6302, like that. So that your PABX, what it will do, whatever features that you are going to configure it, it's going to give one number. That is the identification. And those numbers are going to start with like this. In case if you configure any conference, it will start with 6500, then 6501, like that guys. Then it will go till 6599. So my personal advice is that don't change these numbers other than extensions. Yeah, because extensions is your choice. And some customers guys especially, they will tell you that for sales team, they want to keep it, the extension should start with 1000. And for HR, they want to start with 2000. For finance, they want to start with 3000. It's completely, you can do the customization guys. It's your choice. There is no problem for it. But in case if it is a small deployment and customer like to give only 3-digit extension, so that you can choose, okay, I don't want to keep different extensions, then you can just say I want to start with 200, 201, 202, like that. So that time what you can do, you can just come here, simply you can do the changes. How? You can just come here, type 200 and 299. That's it. So I don't want to do the remaining changes. Then you can click on save. So once you click on save, you can see it start loaded, and it's loaded as well. Then after that you can just go back to the extension and click on the extension and say add, click on add. Now you can see here it started with 200. That's the beauty of that guys. And also you can see the extension type. It's saying that there is FXS. What do you mean by FXS? So as I told you earlier guys, if you go through my previous videos, A-Star P series PABX, it's a hybrid PABX as well. So it's going to support your analog phones as well as IP phones. So IP phones we can call it as a SIP extension, and analog phones we can call it as a FXS extension. So FXS is nothing but foreign access station. If you want to connect your analog phone, you can directly connect to your PABX. That's the beauty of your A-Star guys. And second thing that I just want to mention one more thing, how many trunks right now I have it. And trunk is nothing but it could be analog trunk, or it could be a PRA trunk, or it could be a 4G LTE trunk, or it could be a SIP trunk. And you can see here, go to the trunk, and by default you can see there is a 2 FXO ports. Oh, what is this? There is a 2 FXO lines I can connect it. So which means this is a P550 PABX. This P550 PABX, what I told you guys initially, it has a 4 slots inside. Okay, once you open this box, there is a 4 slots are there. This is slot number 1, slot number 2, slot number 3, slot number 4, right? And here you can see here it's showing FXO1, FXO1-1, FXO1-2. So which means in slot number 1, as I told you, slot number 1 is belongs to port number 1 and 2. So here I kept one O2 module. That's why it's showing FXO. FXO is indicating that O2. O2 is nothing but FXO, Foreign Exchange Office. And how many modules I kept? One module. Where? In slot number 1. That's why it's showing 1. Then this is the port number 1 and this is the port number 2. In case if you are going to keep one more O2 module in slot number 2, then it will show you 3 and 4. Are you clear guys? So this is what. Right now you can see here the status it's showing disconnected. Once if you connect your FXO line, directly it will show it to you. It's enabled. Means it's going to show it in the green color. In case if you want to do any changes related to your FXO line, it's very simple. Just click on this edit button and you just come here, click on advanced, and you can do the changes according to your requirement. So by default don't do any changes guys. Why? Because by default the predefined settings are there, which is going to work perfectly fine without any challenges. So you can see here. So in case if you want to do any other changes, you just come here and you can do the changes. That is one observation guys. And another settings you can see here in the preference section, whatever you want, you can do the changes. But my personal advice is that don't do any kind of changes, especially for group voicemail, ring group, conference. Don't do it. You can just do the changes for your user extension. And one more thing, voice prompts. So in case if you want to upload any voice prompts, you can just, this is the treasury, guys. Okay, you can just come here, the repository here, you can just upload your voice prompts. Okay, or else if you want to record new, you can directly use your phone, and you can, once you register your phones, then you can just record your own voice prompt. That's the beauty of that. Or else in case if you want to upload something, just come here and you can upload it directly. And this is one more interesting thing, the SIP settings. So the SIP settings is nothing but, for example, you can see here 5060, which is the default port, which is the default SIP UDP port. So if anybody trying to register, if the request is coming through from outside with 5060, your PABX ready to respond for that. And RTP range, this is the media range. This is signaling port, guys. 5060 is the signaling port, and this is your RTP range from 10,000 to 12,000. And SIP endpoint registration timer 3600 seconds. And again, if you go and see it, but default codecs which is going to support ULA, ILA, GSM, H.264, ILBC, G7022. Okay, these are all codecs is going to support, guys. And you can see here the TLS is by default disabled. So sometimes if you want to enable secured communication, transport layer security, and it's going to use the default port is 5061. And maybe you have a question, can I change this SIP UDP port? Yes, of course you can change it. There is no problem for it. But make sure that when the phone is trying to register, you should keep the same port, guys. Either if you change 5068 or 5067, you just change according to, by some people due to the security reasons they want to change their port, they can do that. And you can see here the TCP port is disabled by default. If you want to enable, you can enable it as well. There is no problem for it. And SIP port range is 5062 to 5082. Okay, session timer and QoS and T.38. This is related to your fax, guys. That's okay for me. And you can, if you want to change any related to the incoming call ID settings and all, you can just come here and you can do the changes. So these are the some settings you need to understand about it before you are going to set up your PABX. And also you can see here, if you want to change your IP address, as I told you that if you want to keep any IP address, it's always recommends that initial setup you can just specify what IP address you want it. But in case if you want to change, due to some reasons you want to change the IP address, you are always welcome. You just come here, go to the system and click on the network and change the IP address. And make sure that don't select as a DHCP. Why? Because it's going to pick one of the IP address, guys. It's going to pick one of the IP address for your network. Then later the phone's unable to find it out. That's a challenge for you. So it's always recommends that keep the static IP address. So you have to plan it. Before you are going to set up your PABX, you just plan it. Then after that, you just proceed for your configurations. Now you can see here there is a web server and service ports and A-Star FQDN. This is one more interesting thing, guys. This is very interesting thing. So basically this FQDN service, make sure that if you enable it, the advantage is that you can access your PABX from anywhere. And one more interesting thing is that if you want to register your IP phone remotely, for example, I am sitting somewhere else in the world and my PABX is enabled with A-Star FQDN, so that you can use that FQDN and you can register your PABX. No need to do port forwarding, nothing, guys. That's the beauty of P-Series. That's why I love P-Series a lot. Why? Because you can use this FQDN wherever you want it. But if you go with old series, you need to do certain changes in the router, certain changes in your PABX, many things, right? But in P-Series, they are providing you FQDN. By the way, it's a subscription based. If you have a FQDN, if you are going to take standard plan, or if you are going to take enterprise plan or ultimate plan, you will get one FQDN from A-Star. So that you can just write it. You can enable that feature, and you can whatever FQDN you want it, you can enable it. And also you can see here public IP and ports and static routes. In case if you want to add any static routes, you can do that. In case if you want to enable the DHCP server, so let's say that my PABX wants to act as a DHCP, let's go and do that. You just enable that, and you can say that I want to keep it 192.168.10.50. That's my starting IP address, and my DNS server is, which is 4.2.2.2, and alternate DNS, if you want you can keep it. And the gateway is, I just want to, oh, this is my gateway IP address, guys. I want to start with 10.1 is my gateway, and subnet mask is 255.255.0, which is /24. Alternate DNS, let's keep 8.8.8, my Google DNS server. And where you want to start your DHCP range, I want to start from 10.50 to 10.100. That's it, 50 to 100. And who is your NTP server? So if you want, you can keep your PABX as your NTP server. So that's why it's selected as 10.5. Now you can say save. The moment when I click save, you can see it start running now. If anybody asks, it will automatically start giving the IP address. So that's the beauty of that. In case if you want to change your date and time settings, you just come here and you can do the changes according to your requirement. And in case if you want to set up your email template, you just come here and you can select your own custom email template. And storage, in case if you want to enable the call recording and all, you can do it. And by the way, it's going to comes with the USB port, guys. This is P550 series, so that you can select that the USB dongle, you can just insert it and you can keep it your USB port, because I don't recommend the local storage for recordings or anything. And voicemail and all, if you once you select the storage, you can do it. And one more interesting thing is that if you want to add network drive, you just click on add network drive, you can add it as well. That's the beauty of that. You can create a shared folder, or if you have a NAS storage or anything, you can directly integrate with your PABX. That's really beauty of it. And again, event notification and what type of notifications you want. For example, if anybody try to log in your PABX and I want to get a notification, just click on that. So whatever notifications, you can go and see. There is a lot of events are there. If telephone related, system related, lot of events are there, so that you can able to just enable the notification according to your choice. And remote management, so in case if you want to manage all your PABX from centralized management, there is a star central management is available, so that you can speak to your respective account manager. They will guide you how to do that. And SNMP, if you want to enable SNMP, if you have any monitoring softwares or anything, you can enable it. Hot standby, if you want to have a one more PABX as your standby, you can just configure it. It's very straightforward, guys. And security settings and all, you can see here by default these subnets are allowed, guys. These are the acceptable subnets, so keep in your mind. So sometimes some people, they are trying to change some different subnet, like they want to give the public IP range. These are the private IP ranges, but they want to give some different public IP ranges, and they are trying to access the PABX. Unfortunately, they can't. And they will simply call you and tell you that I'm not able to access my PABX, because you are trying to access your PABX through public IP. So that in case if you want to change anything, then you just click on add and do that, because it's always important, try to give your private IP address range for your PABX. That's the beauty of that. And these are the security settings. And one more interesting thing, guys, this is your console access, and you can see this is the default password. In case if you want to change the password, you can do that. And you need to enable SSH. So sometimes we may need to access SSH from the backend, and you need to enable it here. You need to come to the security and come to the security settings, then enable SSH, and default username is support, and keep the default password, or you change the default password according to your requirements. So that's the beauty of this one, guys. And sometimes you may get to do some changes for your security options and all. You just come here and you can do it according to your choice. There is no problem for it. Okay, guys, so these are the settings. Always you need to remember it. So basically, before you are going to set up your PABX, it always recommends that you need to have a proper plan, what IP address you want to configure. In case if you have a VLAN, and which VLAN you are going to configure, and where you want to run your DHCP. Those are all these things you need to set it up first, so that your job will make more easy. Otherwise, what's going to happen, you will find some challenges. So to avoid those challenges, we need to understand this. Yeah. So for sales related inquiries, please send us an email, sales@datavoice.com. For support, please send us an email, support@datavoice.com. I hope this has been informative and I would like to thank you for viewing.